pictures, and it was the first time that I saw anyone in my family that I looked like. I am
Mm.
basically my biological dad's twin. Like the prettier version.
Ah,
But I look earlier life.
definitely. Well, fast forwarding even more, there's this defining moment in your life. Uh, it's at your wedding. You had a special guest walk you down the aisle. Tell me about
I I did. Well, so
that.
there's kind of a little backstory to that.
Okay,
So
okay.
when all this stuff was getting plastered all over the news in the eighth and ninth grade about what happened to me,
Mm-hmm.
I did not have a relationship with my biological dad. He chose to not be in my life for his own personal reasons, reasons now that I know he regrets. But he chose
Mm-hmm.
not to be in my life at that time. But he saw all the stuff on the news. He knew it was about me, and he was concerned. So he hit up my mom, and my mom was like, "You chose not to be in her life. I'm not really sure why you're reaching out or whatever." But he,
Mm-hmm.
voiced concern. And so through high school, my mom started being like, "Do you want to know anything about your dad? Is there anything you want to know about your dad?" And I'm like, "Nah, I'm good." Because like in my
Wow.
mind, I was like, I already had a real bad stepdad situation. I'm not really trying to enter into like a mess of a dad situation. I didn't have any
Mm.
desire to meet him. I hadn't been sitting around my whole life being like, "Oh, I wish I knew who my dad was." That just wasn't me. And so
Mm.
then when I was approaching 18, because he was actually legally not to have contact with me while I was a minor, um, my
Because
mom asked, just because he signed off his rights. He signed his
okay.
rights away.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, like my mom gave him tons of times in my childhood to be a part of my life. He continued to say no. She didn't want to mess
Uh,
anymore with
I
me.
get it. Yeah.
So yeah, just that very basic legal, you signed away your
Mm-hmm.
rights.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was approaching 18, my mom explained all this backstory to me and said, "Your dad wants to meet you. He wants to get to know you." And I was like, yeah, that's not
Wow.
something I'm trying to do right now." I was like, I'm a
Mm-hmm.
senior in high school. I'm graduating. I'm trying to go to college. Like, I got way too many things going on in my life. Also, at that time, my stepdad was getting released from prison. There was
Oh.
a lot going on for me. I struggled with some depression that year. It was pretty short term, but just a lot of stress for a
Mm-hmm.
young 17-year-old to deal with. So I was like, yeah, I think I'm good on that right now. And so
Mm.
fast forward to like my freshman year, I was like, maybe I should connect with my dad, because if anything, I can let him know about Jesus. Like that was like my motivation. Like everyone needs to know Jesus, so maybe
Wow.
I'll meet him for that piece of
Yeah.
you know information. So then I started to email his live-in girlfriend, and she started to send me pictures, and it was the first time that I saw anyone in my family that I looked like. I am
Mm.
basically my biological dad's twin. Like the prettier version. But
Ah.
I look just like him. And so it was
Mm-hmm.
like freshman year in college in my dorm, I'm just like blown away looking at pictures. I never looked like anybody in my family. Didn't look
Mm-hmm.
like my mom, obviously didn't look like my step family, didn't look like my
Mm-hmm.
mom's family. I just did not feel like I looked like my family, which was another way that I felt different, you know.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
When I was a child, I actually asked my mom if she adopted me, because I just
Yep.
was like, "You're this white lady. I'm this brown girl. I don't have a dad that looks like did you adopt me?" Like she's like, "No,
Yeah.
I didn't adopt you." And for a while, I thought she was lying, but I know
Right.
it's not true now. So,
Okay.
anyways, fast forward to my senior year of college, I finally agreed to meet him because he wanted to give me a car,
Geez, took a
and
while.
yeah, like it was all just I like because for me, I was like, I want to focus on school. I don't
Yep.
want anything to mess with my school. I don't know what's going to happen if I meet my dad. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't
Yeah.
think I'll have an emotional response, but I don't want to mess with that. I already had
Okay.
so much that I've gone through already. So then I was like, "Oh, you want to give me a car? Okay, I'll meet you." And it was honestly the best way that I could have met him, because I didn't
Mm-hmm.
want this like dramatic Geraldo meet your father kind of
Mm-hmm.
moment, because I didn't
Mm-hmm.
feel that.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very natural. He was giving me like a used car. which I had never had a car until that point. And
Wow.
so, like my own car, I always borrowed my mom's,
Yeah, I get
or
it. Yeah.
at college, you're on campus. So,
Yeah.
um, we just started talking about the car, about all these things we had in common, instantly started making fun of each other. And I was like, yep, this is my dad. Like,
Yeah.
and my mom actually had written him a letter that said, I know you're really excited to meet your daughter. I found out about this after we met, like right after we met, but she said, I know you're excited to meet your daughter, but she's not a little girl. And she's not going to be the
Mm,
little girl that you think that you could, take care of or be daddy to. Like, she's a woman. She's been
mm,
through a lot in her life. Um, her the father that she relies on now is her heavenly father, and even for me as her mom who's been around, she's very, very independent. And so
mm.
I just want you to know that, like, this is how things are. So from that point on, I didn't live in Michigan anymore. Or wait, no, I take that back. I did live in Michigan for a couple of years after that, but
Mhm.
probably like 2 years after that, I moved, and so I wasn't near him, but we continue to try to grow a relationship with each other. When I was 22, he took me to meet all of his side of the family, which are all in
Wow.
California.
Wow.
And what's funny about that is I had felt drawn to go to California when I was in college, like wanted to move there. And then I met all of my family. And one of the most impactful things that happened, well, a couple things. First of all, met more people that I look like, met more people that I acted like the boisterous, outgoing, sense of
Funny.
humor,
Yes.
fun, type of personality that I didn't feel like I got from my mom's side, definitely was on my dad's side.
Mhm.
And it was just, I felt so much belonging for the first time
Mm.
in my life. So much belonging, of like natural belonging, not the kind that gets created with like good friends, but just like the kind that you expect to have from family. I just felt like I fit in. I looked like these people. I acted like these people. And the most powerful thing that happened when I went there was that, my family, I found out they were all former like gangbangers and drug dealers and stuff from
Okay.
California. And they all were like Christians now.
Oh.
And they came to me and they said, I went to church with them the Sunday that I was there. And they stood up in front of the church and they said, we knew about our niece when she was born, but her dad decided to not be in her life. But ever since that day that we knew she was born, we have prayed for her, and we have
Mm.
prayed that she would be restored to our family. And that moment happened this week.
Wow.
And
Powerful.
I just burst into tears
Of
because
course.
all my life I wondered if I ever had anybody like praying for me or looking out for me or thinking about me in that way, especially as it came to like my relationship with God. Because like I said, I didn't like get connected at a church or have anybody from school like take me to a prayer meeting or anything like that that really brought me to that point. And so it was
Mm.
powerful for me to hear at 22 that my family had been praying for me all of these years. So through my 20s, I was developing a relationship with my dad. We were talking about why he chose not to be in my life, and we got to a really good place. And when it came to me getting married in my 30s, all my life I just thought I'm going to walk down the aisle alone because I don't have like that typical dad figure in my life. I didn't really have any substitutes either that I could think of that would be appropriate, or that it would matter for me. And so when it came to me getting married, I asked my dad to walk me down the aisle. And so even with all the separation of him not being in my life, and him choosing to not be in my life, like, I forgave him. And he's regularly in my kids' lives now. He has a good
Mm.
relationship with my husband. He has now married that live-in girlfriend that
Oh,
I
okay.
found out actually advocated and told him that he should reach out and have a relationship with me.
Mm.
She was the first girlfriend in his life that told him to choose me when all the other women in his life had told him to abandon me
Mm.
and to choose them over me. And
Mhm.
so, in a lot of ways, I'm pretty grateful for that from her as well. Another
Mhm.
motherly figure that was saying, choose me, you know.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, the special guest was the estranged father that is now a regular part of my life and my kids' lives,
Do you
or earlier life.